Okay, good morning, everybody. This is database management applications, right? I think in this semester, we covered several sessions on the MS Office, right? And computer hardware, computer maintenance, and internet and email network, right? And other Office applications, right? I think this is the last one, database management applications, and under this, we will discuss about MS Access, right? Office package access. Right, these are the objectives of this lesson. You'll be able to learn about database, right? What is database? Then fields and records from a table, right? And introduction to database fundamentals, right? That is the very basic things about database, because before you learn MS Access, you have to have some idea about database, right? Because you use the access to create databases, right? So then we have to have some idea about database, and we will discuss some basic fundamentals, right? And also you can learn about MS Access, how to create tables, how to create queries, forms, and reports, right? These are the actually main objects in MS Access you can create. Right. If you talk about database, right? Database. We define it as a collection of tables and associated indexes, right? It's a very simple definition about a database, right? For example, employee table, product table, department table, customer table, like that, right? Collection of these tables, right? With some indexes, because I will explain what are the indexes, right? Actually, we have some connection between tables, right? So then we define the database as a collection of tables, right? Simply collection of tables. Then database system. Here, just a database, right? So then we define a database system, right? That is a computerized record keeping system that organizes data into records in one or more databases, right? You know that what is a database, right? That is a collection of tables, right? So then you can keep a database system, right? That is a computerized record keeping system that organizes data into records in one or more databases, right? So then you can shift to database management system, right? Similar thing, but I explain in different way, right? Database management system, that is an application software that organizes data into records. Again, similar thing, right? Organizes data into records in one or more databases and allows organizing, accessing, and sorting of the data in a variety of formats, right? This is what today we are going to learn, database management system, right? For example, MS Access, MySQL, NoSQL, so several database management systems there, right? Under this course, we are going to learn about MS Access as a database management system, right? Right. We can define some terms under database. First one, field. A field, a single characteristic or attribute of a person, a place, or object, event, or idea, right? If you have take some object to your database, right? Or some place or some event or whatever, right? We call that is a field. Simply in a table, it's a column, right? if you take a simple table, if you take one table, you have columns and data records, right? In this column, we call a field in a database, right? Then record, a set of related field values. Right? Simply think about a table, right? About a table. Now you know what is a field, that is a column from that table, right? Then record, that is a set of related field values. Simply a row in a table, right? Row in a table, data record in a table, right? Field record, right? So then table, a collection of records that identify a category of data, right? Such as some example, customers, orders, inventory, students, employee, whatever the category, but a collection of records, right? Now you know what is record, that is a data row in a table. So if you have a collection of those records or rows, is a table, right? Right. Look at this table, right? This is a simple table called employee, right? Employee table, right? So this table has columns, employee ID, employee name, like that, right? So these are called fields, right? Fields. And this table has records, right? Simply data rows. These rows or these records we call records, right? Records, fields and records, and table, right? These are very basic terms. Field, record, and table, right? You can understand. It's very simple, right? Right, next one, relational database and keys. Right? Now you know that we discuss about database, right? So then a field, a record, and table. Now you have another term, relational database. Right? What is it? A relational database is a collection of tables that are related to one another based on common fields. Right? Common fields. Under this common field, we can discuss about keys. Right? Key. First one, primary key is a column or combination of columns that uniquely identify each row of the table, right? Each table has a primary key because you have to identify each row of the table, right? Each row of the table. Now you know what is a row, right? Then what is the primary key? Is a column. Whatever field in that table, right? You know that a field is a column or combination of columns. That means you may declare as a primary key with several columns, right? Column or combination of columns, right? But what is the important thing that you can identify each row in the table uniquely. That is called primary key. Second one, foreign key is a set of columns, right? Set of columns in one table that serve as the primary key in another table, right? If you have a primary key in one table, right? Primary key in one table, and the same column you have in another table. That is not the primary key for that table, right? Each table has primary key, but in one table you have primary key, and also we have another key, another column that is a primary key in another table. This is we call foreign key. right? Let's see one example. Relating tables using common fields, right? These are we call common fields, primary key and foreign key, right? Let's see. This is employee table, right? Employee table. Hmm. There you have employee ID, employee name, employee address, phone number, right? You have four columns or four fields, right? Here, employee ID is a primary key for employee table, right? This one, employee ID is a primary key for employee table. Then you have another table, position table, right? It has position ID, position title, employee ID, hours, OV. Their position table, right? The primary key is position ID, right? You can see these primary keys. Employee ID is a primary key for employee table. Position ID is a primary key for position table, right? Then you can see in position table, you have another key, employee ID. But employee ID is the primary key of employee table, right? So then we call here in employee ID in position table, we call this is foreign key, right? This is foreign key because this is the common field for these two tables, right? The common field for these two tables. So then this is called foreign key, right? Foreign key. This is how we relate these tables each other, right? Because in this MS Access, you will learn how to make relationships, right? You have to do it, right? You have to create tables, then you have to create some relationships between tables, right? For that, we have to have common fields. One is a primary key from one table, and other is a foreign key in another table that is going to be the primary key of first table, right? You have to create tables like this and we have to make some relationships, right? Okay, then we can go to Access, introduction to MS Access. You can use Access using whatever the method, right? You know that MS Office applications you can start in several ways, right? You can go simply go, you can start all programs like that, right? So otherwise you can use some desktop shortcuts or whatever, right? Simply you can start MS Office Access as a normal way how you start Office applications, right? Then you can click on blank database. Then you can give a name and you can create your objects, right? Here, what you need to understand, when you open your Access, right, program, Access window will be displayed, right? Access window. They are normal way, but you learn about Office application, right? You can see the ribbon, quick access toolbar, navigation pen, then whatever you can see there, right? But what is the difference, right? What is the difference? Simply, you can create an access file, right? That access file will be the database, right? You can create a new database, right? New database, that means one access file, right? Then you can go, that is Office button or new tab, right? In new versions, you have new tab, or older version, you have Office button, right? Then you can go there and then click blank database, then you can create, right? Then you will create access file that is going to be your database, right? You can give a name, just like when you create a Word file or when you create Excel file or when you create PowerPoint file, right? Same here also, you can create access file. right? Access file will be the database, right? But what is difference is when you create access file, it's okay. You can give a name, but inside this access file, you have to create tables and other objects within your database, right? And other objects. That is the difference, right? So then you have to give again names for tables and other objects, right? First, you have to give a name for your database, that is your access file, right? So then you have to create tables and you have to give again the name for the tables, right? Similarly, you have to create queries, forms, reports, right? All these objects have to have a name, right? That is the different thing in access from other Office applications, right? Right. Let's go access, right? This is actually, I just feel like close this and open new one. And simply you can go your Windows, type access. You can open access. This is depend on your Windows version, right? But where maybe you have Windows 10 or 11, whatever any other version. But similarly, we have Office different versions, right? You can see here, I have Office Access 2007 and also Office Access 365. This is the new one, right? You may also use 365, right? I think you have 365 accounts, right? Simply click access, then you can see access open, right? Open with few options, right? These few options, you can create some templates using these options. But here you can see already activated blank database, right? This is what we need to select, right? Click on blank database, right? Then you can give a name to the database, right? This name is for this access file and also this database, right? Let's give one name 44 DB, right? This name is for the access file and also your database, right? But remind, you have to give again another names for your tables and other objects, right? Simply you can give the name and select the location and click on create, right? Once you click on create, you created your database, right? That means your access file and also one table already created. You can see here, one table already created. It's the name already set as table 1 and started here. Then you can insert data, right? But I will close this one without saving, right? I will close this one without saving and I will explain how you create tables, right? Now you can see here, this is your database, this is your access file, right? You can see 44 DB database, right? Then how you have to understand here in access database, first thing that you can create tables, right? Tables, right? Second, you can create queries, right? We will explain what is a query, right? Then you can create forms and then you can create reports, right? These 4 objects you can create within your database, right? Whatever you want to create, you can go create tab, right? Create tab. Once you select this one, create tab, you can see under that, you can see tables, queries, forms, and reports. right? In several areas in the ribbon, you can see under table area, you can see create table or table design or whatever other some options, right? Similarly, in queries, query wizard, query design, right? Under forms, form design, blank form. Under reports, report design, blank report, like that, right? These options you can use to create these objects, right? This is access window, right? You can see in the left side, we call this is left pane, right? All these objects you can see here in this area, this pane, right? For example, let's create one table, right? You can use table wizard or table design or data sheet view. We call this is data sheet view, right? Simply click table design, right? I will explain how you create a table, right? Here you can see you use table design view, right? So then you can see one table opened as table one. Here you can see field name and data type, right? Because when you create a table, you have to define your fields, right? Fields, that is columns, right? Here we call field name, right? Because very first you learn what is a field, right? Then you have to use data types because this is a database and you store data, right? Data may be numerical data, textual data, right? Or images or date and time, like that, right? You have to store different data, right? So then we have to define the fields with your data types. For example, first field I will type ID, right? Normally, when you create one table, you have to have a primary key for that table, right? Basically, we use one ID, right, for a table. That is going to be the primary key, right? For example, we create a students table, right? So then we type first field as student ID, SID, right? SID, right? So then simply click on the data type, right? So then you can see one type is already selected automatically, short text, right? If it is suitable, you can keep it, right? Otherwise, you can click on this arrow, right? Then you can see different data types there, right? Short text, long text, number, large number, date, time, right? Currency, auto number, like that, right? Normally, if you insert data with numerical and textual data, you can use short text or long text, right? If you store only numerical data, you can use number or large number, right? For example, for age, you may have a field age, right? For age field, normally you insert only numerical data, right? For that, you can select data type as a number, like that, right? So you can decide what is the data type for your fields, right? Here I just keep a short text for SID, right? So then next field I type student name, like this, right? Student name. Again, I click, just simply click here, automatically selected short text. So then I keep it there, right? Then age, maybe student age is age, right? Like that. So then for age, I want to set the data type as number, right? Number, right? Then SID is name, is age, city, right? Another field I keep as long text, like that, right? This is how you create a table in a design view, right? In design view. Again, see, I just select first field name SID, right? SID. Once you selected this one, you can see in addition to field name, data type, and here you have description, right? This is optional for creating database or table, but you can keep some data there, right? This ID. Simply you can give some description about this field, right? Maybe you can type student ID like that, right? This ID means student ID. You can explain this field name, right? Here you can type student full name like that. Whatever the description, you can type there, right? Or maybe you can keep empty because this is optional, right? This is optional, right? So then you can see once you want selected under field properties, you have field properties there, right? For each and every field, you can set some properties there, right? And that you can see under field properties, we have two tabs. One is general and what is another one lookup, right? This is actually not important, but in general tab, you can see field size, format, right? Input mask, caption, default value, validation rule, validation text, right? Several things there, right? You can give some data, right? Or maybe when you create primary key, so maybe when you can validate your fields, right? You can insert some validation rule and validation text, right? Whatever we can learn more later, right? I will explain these fields, right? Because we need some properties to set, right? Some properties to set for these fields, right? And when you create a one table, you have to define your primary key, right? You have to define primary key. In this table, it is obviously SID will be the primary key, right? Then you can select it. How you select it? Simply select this field, right? Simply select this field, right? So then you can see in the ribbon area in the tabs, table design tab activated. And in this ribbon area, you can see primary key command there, right? If you select another one, the same, right? This is same. But here you need to set the primary key for SID, student ID, right? Simply you can click this one, primary key, right? Now you can see a small key icon appear with, before that name, right? That means this is set as primary key, right? Otherwise, simply you can right click on this field and right click and then you can select primary key, right? That's it. This is how you create a table using design view, right? Now, still you can see this is a table name just like table one, but we have to give a name for the table, right? At the beginning, you have given a name for the database, right? That is 44 DB, right? This is one object in this your database. It's the first table, right? Then you have to give a name. Simply, you can save it, right? You can save this table, right? When you click save, right? Save, you can see normally small window appear as save as table name, right? Already set as table one from the system, but you can give a name, maybe students, right? That is the main difference from other Office applications, right? You can create in, for example, in MS Word, right? You can create one Word file with one name, right? That's it. You can have several pages, right? But here, this is different. First, we have to create your database, right? That is access file. Then you can create objects inside your database, and you have to give name for each and every object, right? This is one object is a table, right? Then you can give a name for this table and save it, right? You can see this is changed to students, right? We have table students, right? Then you can close this design view, right? Then you can see in your left pane under tables, you can see students table here, right? Simply you can right click this table and click open, or you can double click to open this table, right? Double click, then you can open this table. This is we called data sheet view, right? Here you can insert data to the table, right? This is data sheet view. You can insert data to the table. I will close it again, right? Now again see, just I right click on this table, right? To click open, you can open it in datasheet view. Or again right click and select design view, right? Then you can see the previous view where we create this table. If you want to change or modify, or you can add some other fields, or you can delete some fields, you can set the order of the fields. Everything you can do in design view, right? But if you want to insert data, right, you can go data sheet view, right? Let's say just I insert one data row, right? It's ID SS01, right? So this is data type is a short text, right? Then you can use characters and or numerical or textual, whatever, right? So the name may be Saman, right? Simply one name. Then age may be 34. City, right? Like this. Then you can go to the second data row, SS02. Then comma, right? 56 candy, right? In this way, you can insert whatever data you want to insert to this table, right? You can save it and close datasheet view, right? Now you cannot see anything, but here you can see under tables, your tables there, students, right? If you want to insert data or delete data, you can go datasheet view, right? If you want to insert again data, or even you can delete, right? That means this is data rows, right? You have two rows here. Simply select one, right click, right? Then you can delete record, right? Same way you can click new record. That means you can insert new one. Maybe you can cut, you can copy or paste, whatever. If you have several tables, right? You can share your data records in between tables, right? All options there, right? And again, if we go design view, right? Design view, right? Here you can see the order of these fields, right? Fields. Its ID, its name, age, city. But here you can change these fields with the order. Simply select one, right? Then click and drag it, right? Like this. You can drag it and release it again. We can see its ID, then city, its name, its age, right? Or maybe you can click and drag it again. Like that, you can change this order, right? In the design view, right? Close. Now you can see when I go to close this design view, it asks, do you want to save changes? So what is the change? Just I change this order, right? I just change city to the second option, but I change it again to city, right? But system has to save it or not. But here, actually no change because I revise it. Maybe you can click yes or no, right? Now again, you can double click and no. This is data sheet view. You can insert data or you can delete data, right? Insert one and another one, right? Zero, three. Right? This is data row, and you have three data rows here in this table, right? So now you can see when you open this data table in datasheet view, right? In the bottom, you can see navigation pane, right? Some navigation tools there, right? You can see this is selected is data row, the first row, right? You can see there in the navigation pane record, right? One of three. That means you have three records and selected is first one, right? And you can see one arrow key there. You can go next record, right? In next one, like that, right? Or you can go to first record or last record, right? This is actually only simple one. It's very small one. If you have a very large database, large table, it's hundreds or thousands of data rows, right? So then this is very important, right? Then you know what is a data row, three of three, or maybe three of thousand, three of hundred, like that, right? At that time, these navigations are very important, right? Then you can see now you learn about access window environment, and you create one table. You use design view, right? Design view to create table. In similar way, you can create a table in datasheet view also, right? Datasheet view also, right? I will show it again. Just you create one table students. That's okay, right? That's okay. Then again, you can go create table, right? Simply table. This is going to be open the datasheet view, right? Previous one, you select table design, right? Design view. Simply click table, right? You can see ID is already created one first field, right? Then you can click here, double click, right? Double click, then you can select data type for the second field, right? Short text, right? Field one already set, but you can delete that one and you can set your name, right? For example, employee ID, employee name, right? Employee name, right? This is already set as data type auto number. You can see here, once you selected this one, you can see the table fields activated. In this window, you can see here, the data type is auto number, right? If you select this one, you can see short text, right? Then you can you can change this using this field there, right? Be short text like that, right? Even you can change the field, right? Employee ID like that, right? Employee ID, employee name, and again city, whatever, right? Maybe another one, number format, age, employee age, like that, right? Then just you can insert data, right? Employee one, like that, right? You create the table in datasheet view, then you can insert the data, right? this way. Now again, you can see this table name again came as table 1, right? That is the system generated name for this table, right? Maybe you can save this as a new name, or simply if you click close this table, you can close this, then see what will happen, right? There are two things, right? I will show you. Simply I want to close this, right? Now see, do you want to save changes to the design of table 1, right? It asks to save, right? I click yes, right? Then you can give a name, right? The employees, right? Click on, right? Now you can see you created employees table, students table. Students table you use design view to create it, and employees you use datasheet view, right? In two ways you can create tables, right? Now you can see select employees, right click and go design view. Now you can see this is design view of this table. You can see EID already set as primary key, right? That is set by the system, right? If you want, you can change it, right? Simply click, release it. Maybe if it is a primary key name, you can set it as primary key like that, right? But this is not suitable as primary key. Let's set ID, right? Then you can click save and close it, right? Now you see we have two objects there, tables, right? Two tables there in your database, right? Now it's clear, right? It's clear how you create tables in MS Access, right? Table is the Access file. Database, how you create database in Access. Database is Access file, right? Within your Access file, that means within your database, you can create objects, right? First one is table, right? Then you can create other objects, maybe query, maybe reports, maybe forms like that, right? But when you create objects, for example, tables, you can use two ways. Create, then you can go datasheet view or design view. In two ways, you can create tables. When you create tables, we have to have create fields, right? Data fields, and also we have to give data types for your fields, right? You can set some descriptions, right? And also you can set your field properties, right? These are the things that you need to learn, right, at the beginning. Let's see again PPT, right? Open and access database table. Now you know how to open a table, right? In the navigation pane, select the table you want to open and right click on the table and click open, right? It's very simple, right? When a table is open, it is in datasheet view, right? That is what I explained, right? It shows the table's data as a collection of rows and columns, right? Each row in datasheet view represents a record in the table, right? Record in the table. Now it is very clear, right? Then what is an access query? This is second object, access query, right? If you want to see just a portion of the data in a table, you can create a query. Simply, query is retrieving method of data, right? Maybe you have within your database, you have several tables, right? Several queries, whatever, right? But you can create a query to see your data, maybe a portion of a table, or maybe a complete table, or maybe a data from several tables. Whatever, you can see your data using a query, right? In some ways, a query is like the auto filter in Excel. you know that Excel, when you create Excel file, you can filter your Excel worksheet according to your criteria, right? Just this is same, but query is more powerful than Excel autofill, right? In other way, a query is a question you ask about the data stored in a database table, right? Access responds by displaying the data according to your question, right? What is the question? It's your query. For example, if you ask to see all the customers or all the students or all the employees from Gold or from Candy or from Mother, right? The response would be to display only the records where the state field or city field or whatever address or whatever field matches the with Gold, right? Or whatever city. You can set it with some criteria, right? Some conditions for when you create an access query, right? That is what we need to learn about query. You have tables, then you can see a portion of data from a table or maybe from several tables, then you can create a query, right? Third one, forms. A form allows you to view your data or insert records. If you create a form, even you can view your data as query, right? Or you can insert records. Simply you can insert records in Datasheet View in table. But if you create a form, even using a form, you can insert data to your tables, right? Forms are useful for maintaining, viewing, and printing records in a database. Even you can print your records using a form, right? You can create your own form in the Forms design window, or you can use the Forms wizard to create a form. When you create a query, a form, or reports, that is other three objects, you have an option wizard, right? That is very easy way to create these objects because it explain a series of steps, right? Not just like that design view. It's a wizard. It's a guided steps. Just you can click yes, no, next, like that, right? Guided wizard. The easiest way to create a form is to use the form wizard, right? That is what I explained, right? Next one, access reports. This is another object. It's a printed version of your data that is formatted according to your specifications. You can print your data from your database, right? For that, you can create a report to print data, right? The data in the report may consist of data from a single table or single query or multiple tables or multiple queries, right? One report you can create using several tables or several queries or using both, right? That is the important thing. Access as a reports wizard that allows you to easily create a report. Here also you can use reports wizard. That is very easy one, right? The report can be based on a table or on a query. That is what we explained, right? You can create a report using table or query. If the report is based on a query, it will contain the same fields that were selected for the query. Same as if you select a table, right? All the fields included in the table in the reports, but you can customize your report. We can learn more on that under reports, right? Next one, that is before that I explained about table, right? We created table using two ways, right? That is one is design view and datasheet view, right? There is one object in your database is a table. Then another object query, another object form, another one report, right? So then you have to create 4 objects in your database, right? You have to give all names for these objects in addition to your database name, right? That is the difference, and you have to understand, right? Naming fields. There are some rules for naming your objects, right? You must name each field and object such as table or query in Access database. When assigning a name to a field, right? This is about field in a table, right? When assigning a name to a field, carefully select a name that will indicate what data is stored there, right? That means your field name should be meaningful, right? Rules for naming fields and objects also, right? Fields mean a database, a table fields, right? An object means tables, queries, reports, forms, right? A name can be up to 64 characters long, right? Maybe this depends on the new versions, right? A name can contain letters, numbers, spaces, and special characters, but some are not allowed. Cannot use a period, that is full stop, exclamation, that is another character, accent grave, that is we call that quotations, right? And square brackets. These symbols you can't use for names, right? A name cannot start with a space. That is another rule. With you cannot start a name with a space, right? A field name must be unique within a table. Field name must be unique within a table, but can be used in another table, right? That means in one table you have a field called student name, maybe for example S name, right? Within the same table, you cannot have another field called S name, right? The field name must be unique within a table, right? In a one table, you cannot have same names, right? But S name you can have in another table. That is okay, right? These are the rules for naming fields and also objects, right? Create a new database. This is what I explained you before. You can create a new database by creating a new blank database or by a template, right? At the beginning, I explained that, right? When you create a new database, you will need to create all the tables, queries, forms, and reports, right? That is what we explained about 4 objects. 4 objects, right? Create tables, you can use Datasheet View and Design View, right? Both I explain you how you create using Datasheet View and Design View, right? This is again about create a table in Datasheet View. Click blank database under new blank database. Then you can enter the name, the database in file name, text box, and click create. That is what you create your database, right? Then you can create fields in table 1. That is table 1. That means the system generated name for table 1, right? Or you can create table under create. That is what I explained in Access, right? This is this one, create. Under create, you can create all your objects, right? All your objects there. In the design view, that is same thing. Click table design under create, right? That is this one. Under create, table design, right? That is what I explained previously, right? Then you can enter field names and set data types, right? Field names and data set types. Then you can define fields and also your primary key. Name the fields and define the properties for the fields, right? When all fields have been defined, specify fields for primary key, right? That is important. if you have not defined primary key, system will ask to set automatically one key, right? Then you will experience when you do the practicals, right? Then you can save your table. Click save button on the quick access toolbar. Then you can type your name for the table. Click OK. Add records to a table using Datasheet View. That is the only way to insert data using table Datasheet View. And also you have another way to insert data, that is form, right? You can create a form, then you can insert data using form, right? We can discuss later about other objects, right? As you enter records, they will be placed in the order in which you enter them, right? That means you can insert data, right? You can just see the order when what you inserted, right? First record, second record, third record, like that, right? However, when you close the table and open it again, the records will be ordered according to the primary key order, right? That is also important. You may insert data with the primary key, for example, S01, S02, S03. Then you can insert S010, S011, S020, like that. Right? Just that is your order, how you insert it. But once you insert it and close the table and open it again, then the data rows will be ordered according to that primary key, right? Whatever the way you inserted, but you close and open it again, then you can see the data in correct order according to the primary key, right? That is what it explains, right? This is about navigation bar. I explain it you. And you can move through the fields in the table by pressing the tab key. Again, you can use tab key, and also you can use navigation bar, right? Modify the structure of a table. You can delete, you can move, and you can add fields, right? The structure of a table can be modified after it has been created, right? Structure, that means definitely you have to go design view, right? To modify your structure, right? To delete a field, enter design view, right? Design view. Right click on the field and then click delete rows on the drop down menu. That is what I explained you previously, right? Simply go there, select one table, right click, then you can go design view, right? So then there you can see select, then right click, then you can delete, right? You can delete. Maybe you can set some properties there, or maybe you can set primary key, right? Then you can say change the order, and you can do everything here. That is modification of the structure, right? Structure. To move a field, click on the field you want to move, and while holding your mouse, move the field to the desired location, right? That is what I explained you, how you change the order of the fields, right? Just click and drag it and release. To add a new field, add a field in design view, right click the field where you want to insert the new field, and then click insert rows. The drop down menu, insert rows. I think that is clear, right? Up to now, we discussed about the basics about database, right? Some terms, right? Under that, we learn field, data row, right? Records, field, records, and table, right? Under databases, right? So then we explain about database management system, right? And database system, right? Then we discuss about access, right? Access is a Office application, but is different from other applications, right? Because in Access Office application, you can create access file that is going to be your database. But within your database, you have to create several objects, right? Several objects, then you have to give the names for all objects, right? For example, you can create tables, you can create query, you can create forms, you can create reports, right? All these objects you have to have given name, right? Names. That is the difference between other Office applications, right? So far, we learned how to create a table, right? In both ways. What is first one, design view and datasheet view, right? In both way, you can create a table, right? You can give field names, you can set data types, and also you can give some descriptions, right? And maybe if you want, you can set the properties for fields, right? Then you can insert data using datasheet view. You can delete rows, you can change your structure, that is your table structure. You can delete your fields, you can add some new fields, you can change the order of the fields, right? Everything we learn so far, right? Then we learn about what is access query, what is the form, and what is reports, right? Now we can create query, access query, right? How you create a query? Create a query using wizard. Just you can go create, then query wizard, right? With this very simple because you have a query wizard, right? Let's go here because this you have only two tables there, right? Employee, students, right? Then you can create a query based on these tables, right? If you don't have tables, you can't create other objects, right? That is also important because base object is a table, right? So then simply go create, then under queries, you can go query wizard, right? Also, you have query design view also, right? Here also we can create a query, but we will discuss more about query design later, right? Today, simply go query wizard, right? This is a query wizard. We have to go a few steps, right? First one, you can select some options, simple query wizard, cross tab, find duplicates, like that. But simply you can select first one, simple query wizard, right? This is okay to create a query using your tables, right? Select this one, first one, right? Simple query wizard, then you can click OK, right? Now you can see simple query wizard window, right? There you can see tables of queries. That means you can create a query using a table or using another query, right? Both is okay, right? That's why here mentioned is tables of queries. Then you can select the table what you want to create the query, the base table, right? We select maybe students, right? Then once you selected students, then you can see available fields there, right? Is ID, is name, is age, city, right? You can select these fields to your query. Or for example, if you select that employees table, there you can see employee ID, employee name, city, or age, like that, right? You can select students, right? So then you can insert one by one using this arrow key, right? Select as ID, you can insert, right? So then name, you can insert, then age or city, right? Like that. Or maybe you can, if you want to insert all these fields to your query, simply click this one, second button. From one click, you can insert all fields to your query, right? So then in this time, I will include all the fields, right? So then you can go next, right? There you can select, would you like to detail, like a detail or summary query, right? Detail query means you can just see your table as it is, right? In the query, you can see the data as in your table, right? But if you want To summarize some data, you can select this option, summary query, right? So then you have to mention the options, how you summarize your data, right? For example, in students table, you have data, right? Student ID, then your city, your age, whatever your data, right? But from that data, you can summarize your data, right? For example, if you select these summary options, you can see like this, right? The field, summation, average, minimum, maximum, like that, right? So here you have numerical field, only one, that is student age, right? But here it is not necessary to summarize by age, right? But sometimes you have to have summarize your data, right? For example, if you have a field salary, maybe you can summarize data with maximum salary or total salary, like that, right? But in this way, this time, it's very simple table, students, right? We have numerical field only age, right? Here it is not necessary to summarize data. So then I will cancel it, simply select detail, right? So then you can go next. Then what title to you want for the query? This is the query name, right? This is the query name. You can type the query name. Just it is set as a student's query. I will keep it as student's query, right? Then we have two options: open the query to view information or modify the query design. Here, if you select open, you just create the query and open it, right? If you select this one, create the query and change to the design view. Again, you can set some criteria or you can edit your query, right? Both options you have, but here a simply select open the query, right? Then you can click finish. Now you can see students query open, right? Students query open. You can see the data from the students table, right? We have see student ID, his name, his age, city, right? This is a very simple way to create a query, right? Already you have given the name. You can close it, right? Now you see in your access object span, right? You can see tables. Under tables, we have two tables, right? Then under queries, we have one query, right? This is actually same as students table, right? If you open this one, students, you can see students, SID, SNAME, and everything there, right? If you open this query, again the same, right? You can see students query like that, right? Because you create a simple query without any modification, right? Without any options, right? For example, I will show you the query design view, right? Simply select this query and right click, then go design view. It's very similar how you edit your tables in design view, right? Simply click design view. Now you can see this is your table, base table, that is in students, right? Base table, this one. This is your query design view, this one, right? This is a design view. If you want to remove some fields, you can remove it, right? Here, just you can uncheck this one, then you can see only these three columns, three fields, right? Or maybe you can see here the field name, table name, that is some option, sort, show, criteria, or, right? There you can see, you can set some different criteria, different options to view your data, right? For example, if you want to, all the data, all the students come from goal, right? So then you can define it, the options they are under city, right? Like that. Several options there, you can modify it, right? But we can go it more later, right? Right, create a query using wizard, create query wizard, that is explained. Then create a query using design view. This is what I explained you here, right? This is the design view. This is actually already created one, right? If you click it with saving, right? You can again open it. Now you can see only ID, name, and age. Why? Because in the design view, you remove one field, right? That is city. If you want to, you can again insert that city, right? With this one. Then you can save it and close. Then you can open. Now you can see all fields there, right? And if you want to create a query from design view, select create query design, right? Now you can see, you cannot see any table here, but this is query design view, but you can see right side, add tables, right? There you can see some links there. Simply click tables. Then you can see there are two tables there because we have two tables, employees and students, right? So then you can insert these tables to your query design view, right? Then you can insert your fields there, right? You can see, simply click field here. Then you can see all the fields from both tables, right? Both tables. Then you can add, right? Like this, right? That's a way. From the beginning, you can create a query using design view, right? Design view. Just I will close it without saving, right? Because I just wanted to explain you about tables, how you create tables, right? So then how you create queries using query wizard, right? We can more discuss later how you create a query in design view, and there are a lot of criteria in query design view, right? You can learn more in next time, right? Okay, then thank you very much. I will close for today. Have a nice day.